You didn't stumble here. You were listening for something. A voice between stations, a signal that doesn't shout, but stays. This is Strange Darkness Radio. A place where questions aren't rushed, where silence has weight, where the unexplained is given room to breathe. Welcome back, Carolyn. Welcome back, Mike. Welcome back, Mr. Washington. A whisper from Art Bell. Somewhere out there, something is watching. Maybe that's why you're here. Because you felt it too. That quiet pull, that sense that the story isn't finished, that reality has edges we haven't traced yet. So stay with us, lean in. The signal is clear, the night is long, and we're just getting started. Still searching, still listening. This is Strange Darkness Radio.
Yes, we are back. Carolyn is somewhere at an undisclosed location having all kind of technical difficulties.
I am
teleported somewhere.
I don't know what is going on at her location. Carolyn, if you're okay, blink twice. So she's not blinking, so I'm going to call 911 right now. But yes,
blinking SOS.
Okay, well, welcome to Strange Darkness Radio. And tonight we have a very special guest on tonight's show. But before we get into our guest, Carolyn, what is going on? Are you okay? You are having all kind of things. Are they paranormal? You have a ghost?
It might be a ghost because my light just knocked over my camera. So it might have been a ghost. But I'm thinking it's more just because I don't have a permanent setup. So I really need to make one. I'm kind of balancing things on top of each other, and it's very unstable. So nobody
is funny.
Nobody scream or do anything that's going to shake my speakers.
That is funny.
Everyone just hold your breath.
Okay. So, Carolyn, what have you been up to lately? I know you, with your new paranormal group there, you did a presentation. How did that go?
Yeah, it went really well. It was about reincarnation and children with past life memories. And I gave a 45-minute presentation at the Spiritual Center out here in Rapid City. And I thought it went really well. So
awesome.
I'm excited to be part of the group. I don't know if they'll ask me to speak again anytime soon. So I think I should have, I'll be here.
Okay, nice.
I'm not going anywhere.
Nice. So, I heard there was rave reviews from because I'm in that group also. And, the Facebook portion of it. And, you did, you and another person also, spoke, and you guys had rave reviews, which is really cool. I was hoping that they had video of it. So no one had any video.
Yeah, I didn't think about it until after, but no, there was no one was recording.
Oh, okay.
But I'd be happy to, present it for you sometime. So.
Oh, yeah, that would be awesome. I'm pretty sure our listeners would definitely love that. And we do need to do a show on past lives from all standpoints. We've touched on it, but we've never drilled totally down on it per se. So, yeah. So, Mike,
I agree.
How have you been, sir?
Been good. Had a little bit of an experience. I had dental work done.
Oh.
Claims he was a dentist. We don't know. It was horrible. It was horrible. But I love my dentist. My dentist is cool.
Yeah.
No, I just had some work done. Hung out with some family members. And then just dealing with allergies, man. Allergies have been kicking my ass for like a week now.
Got it. All right. Well, yes. I've had a cool weekend actually. Did some utilizing our video and audio that we're going to be doing for our investigations, and out in the field, out in Apple Hill. Mm-hmm. If you guys are familiar with it, it was really nice doing some drone flights and utilizing some the new cameras, the DJI Nano, and a bunch of other things, and creating videos with that. So just getting ready for this ghost investigations that I keep saying I'm going to do. that Mike is going
we will do them.
lead us on.
When you went to Apple Hill,
Yes.
were you just practicing out there, or did you go to any haunted locations?
No, we were just practicing.
It was just
using
a day
equipment,
trip.
using the wireless mics, just making sure everything was working cool, and flying over the orchards and all that stuff with the drone, and just messing around. But yeah,
Oh, okay.
you guys may see that footage. I might put that out on Instagram or YouTube, so we shall see. But again, tonight we have a very special guest, so let's go down this road.
Good evening, and welcome once again to Strange Darkness Radio. Life rarely unfolds the way we expect it to. Sometimes it leads us down roads so unusual, so unexpected, that looking back, the journey almost feels like a story someone else might have written. Tonight, we meet a man whose life has traveled through worlds most of us never see. Eric Byron grew up surrounded by the solemn traditions of a fourth-generation funeral directing family in Massachusetts, where the realities of life and death were not abstract ideas, but part of everyday life. As a licensed funeral director and embalmer, he spent years helping families through their darkest moments. But life has a way of surprising us. From those quiet halls of reflection, Eric's path eventually led him somewhere few would ever imagine. The circus, a world of bright lights, traveling performers, spectacle, and stories that feel almost surreal compared to the dark suits and hushed voices of the funeral business. Yet Eric's journey didn't stop there. Through decades of experiences, working across industries, exploring leadership, rediscovering his health, pursuing lifelong learning, and searching for deeper spiritual understanding, he began to see how the people we meet and the paths we walk shape who we ultimately become. In his book, From the Funeral Home to the Circus and Beyond, Eric Byron reflects on a life defined not by a single career, but by curiosity, reinvention, and the unexpected connections that guide us forward. Tonight, we explore that journey, because sometimes the most fascinating stories are not about where we start, but about the strange and winding roads that carry us somewhere entirely new. Stay with us. You're listening to Strange Darkness Radio.
Eric, welcome to the show.
Welcome.
Thank you.
So, Eric, man, your book was pretty amazing. And it's so funny because if I would have read this book, I would have said, is this right for Strange Darkness Radio? Only because there are certain paranormal things, there are certain things that you talk about. But this book is right for the world. This book is, it was an amazing read, an amazing adventure, a walk through your life, from an amazing family to an amazing guy and an incredible wife to incredible kids. I'm saying you have checked off a lot of bucket list things in just living and enjoying and actually focusing on what truly matters in life. And somehow you got there along the way, but you journaled it the whole time and captured moments that truly counted. And so that's what I mean by this book took me on a whole, other way of thinking and of what I truly thought this book was going to be about or why you were coming on the show. And so I just truly have to say thank you for that journey, because some of it, especially in the beginning, reminded me of my upbringing. And it also made me think about things that I want to achieve, do, and I need to focus and, pivot on. So I truly thank you for this book. I mean, it truly is an amazing book.
Well, thank you. I mean, I'm so glad that it resonated with you in that way, because that was kind of the whole point, was right, that I'm not some special guy, although I've been very blessed, but I made the best of a lot.
Yes.
I took what I had and I made something of it. And so, yeah, it felt important for me to kind of share that and hopefully inspire some people to say, yeah, I don't have to be rich. I don't have to be wealthy. I don't have to be super educated. I can go do fun, cool things and meet some crazy people along the way.
Yeah, it's an amazing story. And again, when you first made contact with us to be on the show, and I heard, your background in the funeral business, and I have a friend who has been on the show, and she is the director of a funeral home. And automatically I'm going to, what has he seen? What has he experienced? From a paranormal standpoint. But man, just thank you for that journey in this book to be able to, go on the ride of what I think a lot of people need to focus in and, because again, it's not like you didn't have adversity in your life. It's not like you weren't challenged, because you were challenged a lot, in this book, and you rose above it every time. And, or you were able to make, lemonade out of lemons. And it was sweet lemonade from everything that I've read and just seeing your personality and persona. So again, I had a whole different set of questions once I started this, and then I have a different set of questions now that I finished it. So what do you want to tell our listeners about this? Because, your journey is just an amazing story. And so I want you to let people know what you want them to from the start. Because again, we're going to go down the paranormal realm. We're going to go down what your experiences are and what how you've pivoted or what you have seen and all that good stuff. But just from writing this book, what do you want our listeners to truly get from this book?
So for me, I think it's about being open to ideas, right? You can't box yourself into the things that you see are necessarily all there is, right? There's so much more. And when you broaden that perspective, you get out in the world and you go see these places. And I've been very fortunate to, I've been to the pyramids in Egypt. I've been to Stonehenge. I've been to Machu Picchu. I even made it to Angkor Wat. Anyway, you see these places and you realize that there's so much more in the world than what we tend to see. Or if you try to, and I always say this to people, right? With a generation now that watches stuff on YouTube and TikTok and whatever, and I create content for YouTube. I want to bash YouTube, but it's not the same, right? It's getting out there, the tastes, the smells, the sounds, the people, touching fabrics, and I was on the Great Wall in China, right? You can't describe it till you get there and you feel those stones, and you walk up that and you try to imagine these people creating this huge thing for protection, right? They built this wall to keep the Mongols out or whatever, right? And so, but how many people in the hands that, put these stones together. So anyway, so that's kind of my thing for people is don't just trust what you see on YouTube or TikTok or Instagram. Get out and experience these things for yourself, because it's, the senses need to be engaged to really get it.
Yeah, no, definitely. Go ahead, Mike. Or Carolyn.
I think it was Carolyn.
Well, I was just going to say, with all the life experiences you've had, and then, being raised in a family of funeral home directors, and from what you just said, you've been to all these important monuments from human history. Would you say you're a pretty spiritually awakened person, or?
Yeah, I'd like to think so. I've had a number of things in my life that, you can't really explain in the normal realm of science, right? Things that, you get goosebumps and you go, what was that? That's, that's not normal stuff. And so, Yeah, and I think, seeing some of these places firsthand too makes you realize that all of the world, all of humanity has been questioning things all along, or seeing things or sensing things that we don't necessarily understand. And in some cases, they built these massive monuments to kind of honor this sense of there's more out there, right? Whether it's the afterlife or, um, things that are going to transpire when we've left this physical realm.
Exactly. Well, since Carolyn brought
Right.
that up, I want to definitely get into, what you were talking about with your experience with Pastor John, and what he basically said to you to, again, if you want to let people know, and again, you guys read the book, that Eric started off as an atheist for the most part, but you still, went to church from time to time when you had to, as the family, was like, wanted, funeral director. That's most of your business, unfortunately,
Yeah,
are
that's the
somewhat
look.
tied into, the church.
Keep up
And
appearances.
Yeah, and all that good stuff. But you had an experience that, this particular individual said that you would have, that basically changed your mindset.
Yeah, so the story from the book is about, again, one of these moments, right, where you just wonder, there's forces around me that I can't really control. But it was this scene. I was a young man. I was actually helping a youth group, a church youth group, as kind of an advisor, if you will. But I was barely older than the teenage high school students who we were taking there. But we had gone to Cape Cod in Massachusetts for this weekend retreat thing, and when we arrived, we did this thing where we stepped into the water, and it was like Jesus washing the feet of the disciples,
Yeah.
right? Was kind of what we were mimicking. And so everybody was supposed to get in the water and kind of wash each other's feet. And anyway, this pastor grabbed me in the water, and he said, if I can remember exactly, it was like, this is going to be, what was it? Do you remember, Bobby?
This was going to be your weekend, is
This was
basically
going to
what he
be your
said.
weekend.
Yes.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
But it was one of those moments where there's just something weird and kind of profound about what he said. And then, of course, the next day, I'm up by myself in the morning on a walk, and I find myself following this path off away from the beach area into the woods. Not sure why I decided to follow this path, but I seemed to be compelled to do so. And I walked into this clearing, and there were raspberries in this little clearing. And I don't know why, it was like, just a punch in the face. But I knew absolutely with every fiber of my being at that moment that God had brought me to that place to say, you've been saying I don't exist, but I'm here to tell you, I am real, and I see you, and I care about you. And I literally fell on the ground sobbing, at the power of this experience that, like, God was speaking directly to me. But the really weird part with this pastor was, afterwards, I went looking for him because I remembered what he had said the night before, and I went, "Oh, he knew somehow. He knew that this was going to happen to me." And I went to find him, and I swear this is literally how it happened. He had his back to me as I was approaching him, and before I said a word, he turned around and said, "I know." And I was just like, "Oh,
Wow.
man." And we just embraced, and, we cried together. And so I knew at that point, right, God is real. And the other message that just came through, I mean, just completely loud and clear, was it was all about love, right? That God just wanted me to love. And, if you know from reading the book, I had an attempted suicide. I had gone through some real shit.
Yeah.
Sorry. In the prior year or so before that. And so to have God say, you're good, you're my people, I love you, and I just want you to feel free to love yourself, love other people. And so yeah, that was a marker in my life of, kind of approval. Go live your life, do things, love people. Don't be afraid to have relationships. And yeah, I haven't stayed with the church necessarily. I've had some problems with organized religion,
yes,
along the way, and but I was all in for a while there.
Yeah,
and I think that was also part of the process, right? I had to go through was to realize that not everybody who pretends to be a Christian really gets it.
Exactly. Yes,
they're going through the motions, but they haven't had that kind of connection, right? They haven't felt God.
Yeah.
And so,
and you talk about that.
I feel very
book.
privileged. Yeah.
Yeah. You talk about that in your book, as far as the whether it's a priest or whether it's a bishop or whomever, right? That everybody has their own reasons and things that they do, but religion at some point when people are doing their thing, it seems like they're there for a check opposed to there for the right reasons, or it's an ebb and flow thing. And again, that's, I guess, life with anyone. But yeah, a lot of people feel that way when they go to these particular locations. They see the preacher at the club the night before. It's like, wait a minute, are you supposed to be here? So yeah, so I get that whole thing. But let me ask you on this: when you made that attempt to leave the earth, did you have any type of experience while you were out? Because I know that your parents did find you unconscious and rush you to the emergency room and everything else. Did that play anything in a spiritual realm or for you at that time?
No, I mean, I was haunted by the memories of it for a long time. Songs would trigger. There were songs from that period of time. This was 1977, I guess. So yeah, every now and then I would hear a song from that time, and it would just haunt me. It would just absolutely like rush me right back to that night. But no, I didn't get close enough to death there. I passed out, I guess, but yeah, no, I don't think I got close enough to death to have a near-death experience kind of thing.
Yeah.
So you said when you the moment with the pastor, that was like, of course, a defining moment for you. Were there another one later on in life that was like as equal to that moment for you?
Well, I've had several times. How do I describe it? I call it the spirit, right? So they say the Father, Son, and the Holy Ghost, right? So I have these encounters now and then where I feel like the spirit is like calling me to do something. So yeah, so it doesn't happen that often. Although I just recently had one. Literally, it's bizarre. I was walking through a mall, and all of a sudden, just had this rush of, there's this person you need to reach out to, and comfort, I guess.
Yeah.
But anyway, so it still happens. I get these moments where I feel very connected, and say there's a force out there that's urging me to do things. Yeah.
Very interesting. Carolyn, you have a question?
No, not really a question. Just I think it's really important to listen to that voice. We all have spirit within us. We all have that connection to God or universe, the great spirit, whatever you want to call it. And I think that a lot of times maybe I shouldn't say a lot of times, but in my opinion, organized religion can sometimes actually diminish that connection because people rely on the church or the priests to tell them things instead of them seeking the answers for themselves. And I just think it's really cool that you're so connected, and that when you get that urge or that voice, you listen to it, because a lot of people don't, including myself. So yeah. I actually I don't know if it's too personal, but I was going to ask the person that you heard that you were supposed to reach out to, did you find them? Did you comfort them? And it was...
Yeah. So the interesting part of that one was that person, I'm not sure was even a real person. I believe they were actually a scammer who had been messaging me. And
oh, that's funny.
Yeah, and
he just needed a friend.
Yeah, so no, it was yeah. Well, even a scammer needs compassion. You know, they still need to be loved, right? And so so yeah, I thought it was quite interesting because I already knew that this person was a scammer who was messaging me. And I don't know why I had not just nuked them, right away when I saw that their account had been created in Nigeria. They were telling me they were American. But I think it was the prelude to this, right? Yeah. That for some reason I just said, all right, there's something interesting about this person. I'm going to be very careful. I'm not going to give them money or anything, but I'm going to let this play out. And anyway, yeah. And so I still had an open dialogue with them. And then say I got this message, and I told them, I said, I got a calling, like a spiritual thing. And I think it really struck this person, maybe in a way that changed their perspective on things.
Got out of the scamming business.
Yeah, I don't know.
He thought you were trying to scam him.
Yeah.
That is funny. Yes. Well, I have to ask, being raised in the family business the way you have, did it change or shape your views on death? Being raised in the funeral directing business or the mortuary business?
Well, it changed my view on life.
So can I add to that question? I'm sorry.
Fragile. Yeah. No, go ahead, Carolyn.
Well, and just Bobby's question, and also as being raised in that business, are there things that you're taught that funeral directors maybe know that normal people don't know? Or are you guys privy to some information that we aren't, or?
No, I don't think so. That's spiritual, but yeah, what it showed me was that life is fragile.
Yeah.
Right. We just don't know how much time we've got. And so, there were a couple of cases in particular that really stuck with me. One was a 3-year-old who died choking on a balloon.
Oh, wow.
So, she was a birthday party or whatever, but she got this balloon and she bit into it. It popped and rubber from the balloon lodged in her throat, and her family watched her choke to death. And it was just horrifying, but it was just one of those, it was just like, why would this happen? And this is during my period when I was still an atheist, right? It was like, this, God wouldn't do this to this family. Right. But I also remember it wasn't long after that, because I was this juggler in the circus and stuff. And I also did clowning, and I was hired to be a clown at a birthday party. And it was only like a month or so after this child's funeral. And I'm at the party and I look across and I see a toddler with a balloon, and she's bringing it to her mouth. And I went over a picnic table. I hurdled a picnic table to grab this balloon from the child. And all these people just went, what is going on? This clown just went airborne, like Superman somehow, leaping, tall buildings to get to this child and take a balloon away. And I had to apologize to, one of the parents there and just say, I'm sorry, I just had this experience, with a child who died from a balloon popping in their mouth. So anyway, but the other one that really, really got me was, I walked into the morgue one day and there was a body on the table being embalmed, and it looked like my brother, about the same age, same build. And it turned out it was this young man, I want to say he was about 20 years old or so, who was jogging. He was athletic, fit. He was out running and had apparently an undiagnosed heart condition because he just dropped dead. He literally he was dead when he hit the ground, to the point where he had dirt in his eyes. He hadn't even closed his eyes. He just, boom, he was dead. And we had to clean the dirt out of his eyes.
Oh my God.
But for me, I was just like, wow, you just don't know.
Yeah.
You don't know you've got tomorrow or the next day. And so say it didn't change my perspective on death. It changed my perspective on life. You got to go live it. Just do what you can do, because you can't wait. You put stuff off, you just don't know.
Yeah, no, that's very true.
That is so well put.
Did working there, did that influence, like working there for as long as you did that influence any of your spiritual beliefs, or did it increase your spiritual beliefs in like seeing how, like, you know, seeing death in this way?
Well, I think working there was kind of a religious experience all the time, right? We spent a lot of time in church. Several of the staff also were, interestingly, I guess, people who might have been priests, but maybe couldn't get into the priesthood. And so they became funeral directors because it kept them close.
Okay.
They were still in church all the time. They were interacting with priests and kind of feeling like they were serving. So there was a lot of religious people around who I was working with. One in particular who, actually, he was a maintenance guy, but he was very, very spiritual, very religious. And he gave me a Bible and said, you can't read this and not find God.
Yeah.
And so I was arrogant. I was, 18 years old or whatever. I said, I accept that challenge. And I read the Bible cover to cover, I think a couple times. And, so there's another piece of this that I've concluded is, whether I wanted to acknowledge it or not, I was seeking something. And in fact, this is something I said to that scammer, actually, when I was trying to explain what was going on. I said, you must be seeking something, because I'm just a guidepost, right? You were looking, and that spirit knew you were looking, and it gave you me to show you the way, right? So I think you have to be seeking in order to make that connection. So Carolyn, you were talking about, kind of hearing and paying attention. I do think you have to be trying to listen. You have to be tuning to different channels, right? Flipping the dial a little bit in order to pick up on a signal. So you have to be curious. You have to be looking. If you're not looking, you won't find. Yeah.
Yes, I've heard that before. You have to kind of, not make an effort, but you have to be receptive and you have to be curious, like you said, or maybe just like seeking something.
Yeah.
And obviously you have to be paying attention and listening. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it never creeped you out growing up. And like you just casually said, I walked into a room as the body is being embalmed. I mean, that is not normal for most people. Just
no, it's not normal for most.
So I'm saying, like, so you were able to either come to grips with that or to separate the a dead body, literally, from a casual experience. So how does something like that happen? Is it being brought up in it? Your parents or your dad explaining the business and what it is, and we're just these meat sacks, and this happens to us, and therefore someone has to take care of these bodies? Or?
So, I think it's conditioning, right? You're there, and these are people who, this is their job, this is what they do. So even before I went and got licensed and was actually hands-on doing embalming, you were still around people who did this for a living, and there was a morgue in the building, at the funeral home there. And so, so you were just kind of around it. But I will tell you, my funny experience of the first time I touched a dead body. So I don't remember exactly how old I was, but this was, again, before I was licensed, whatever. So my dad asked me to help. We just finished a service in the funeral home, and we had to transport the the body in the casket to the cemetery. And so, but the casket had been open, so we had to close the casket. So my dad said, "Oh, go in and just go ahead and close the casket, take the flowers off and close the lid." And so I'm trying to close the lid, and it's in two parts, right? There's the top where the head is and the bottom.
For the lower half, yeah.
The lower half, right. And so anyway, I was trying to close it, and I realized, I got to shift this guy. So I kind of shifted him down a little bit towards the bottom of the thing. And then I'm trying to close the bottom, and it wouldn't close. And I realized his toe was sticking out the bottom. And I was trying to close it on his toe. And yes, and I had to get in there.
Didn't feel good.
And yes, and grab his foot and push him down in there. I don't know why that stuck with me. I realized afterwards it was like the first time I touched a dead body was grabbing his toe and trying to push it back inside the casket. But
not at all, not me.
Yeah. So anyway, but
was that when you decided that the funeral business wasn't for you forever, or what was the catalyst? What made you decide, I don't think that I want to continue this family business?
Oh yeah, no, I went on.
Right, but then eventually you got out of it.
Yeah, but I didn't run away from the funeral business, right? So again, going back to, right, so I had this revelation that, life is short, you got to live. And then I had an offer to perform with a circus. I had been kind of juggling on the side. I was working in this amusement park. I was doing just walk around performing. I wasn't a stage show. I just did like street performing in the park. But there was a company that did some of the stage shows in that amusement park, which was called Riverside Amusement Park in Agawam, Massachusetts. Anyway, this guy comes up to me and just says, "Hey, I've seen you juggling. You're really good. We're putting together this traveling circus show, and I'd love to have you be the featured juggler on that show." And I was 24 years old, and I just went, "Oh my God, how do I not do this?"
Yeah.
Right. And, and lifestyles, right? There was this real contrast going on in my lifestyles, right? It's like, dark suit by day, or through the week. And, on the weekends, I'm juggling or doing clowning and birthday parties and stuff. Right. So there was this real kind of split personality, bipolar thing going on, I guess. Anyway,
different
but
worlds.
yeah, when you're in the funeral home, in the funeral business, right, there's, this, you always have to be kind of in this mode of being able to switch gears very quickly from having fun to being somber and compassionate and quiet and, just being there to support people who are in, going through something very, very difficult, to kind of being fun and playful and joking around with people and messing with them the way I did when I juggled. And so, 24, all of a sudden I had this decision to make. I got these guys offering me a chance to travel with a circus, or I can stay in the funeral home. And I loved my dad, and I loved working for him and with him, but I just knew if I don't do this, I'm going to regret it all my life that I didn't have this adventure. And so, I pulled my dad in. We went up. He had an office on the 3rd floor of the funeral home, which was the casket showroom area. But he had a little office up there, and I, said, "I got to talk to you, Dad." And we went up, and I said, "I got this thing. I got to go. I got to try this and see."
The offer of a lifetime.
Well, it turned out to be, they went bankrupt, and we struggled to get paid, and all of that. But it was an adventure. There's no question about that. Yes, we had some really, really interesting times. It was only like 6 weeks of my life, I think, something like that, or 8 weeks total. In the experience, but certainly life altering at that point.
Exactly. That's what I was going to say, because that shaped your life moving forward, actually, from your marriage to just how everything happened and came about. If you would have never chose that life, who knows what your life would have been.
Yeah.
While we're still on the topic, I do want to ask, what is a misconception or something people don't generally understand about the funeral homes?
Like, what do you mean? 'Cause,
Like, just like
I
just
don't want to know a lot about it. No, I'm just joking.
well, especially as it's like a funeral home and it's a morgue. What do people like kind of not like? What do they like really not understand, or like they kind of think like, oh, it's just putting the body in the casket and then putting him in the viewing for the
it's
for
a
the
whole
family.
process.
Oh, I understand.
Well, there's always a morbid curiosity about what goes on in a morgue and what's the embalming process. And I've had people swear, oh, I swear I know somebody who saw a dead body sit up. And
I've heard those stories.
yeah, exactly. And so I always want to put those myths to bed. It is just not physically possible. Okay. Requires energy to lift something as heavy as a dead body. And believe me, they talk about dead weight. It's true. A dead body feels 3 times heavier than you would think it should for some reason. But there is no way that a body can sit up. The most scary things, and I do remember the first time I had this experience where I walked in the morgue and I heard a moan.
Oh.
And I'm looking around like, where did that just come from, right? And the embalmer was there, and he just started to laugh. He said, "Yeah, that's him," right, pointing at the dead body.
Oh my God.
And I was like, "Oh, come on, what are you talking about?"
Yeah.
So apparently, not apparently, you get pockets of gas that are in the body that can move around.
And they're
right?
escaping.
So as you're embalming, you're creating pressure, right? You're injecting fluid into the body, and it causes pressure in places that makes gas move. And sometimes that gas moves from the lungs, and they go,
Oh, that's so scary.
Right.
Oh my
No.
gosh.
Yes.
Well, what a nonchalant way for
Or
him
they
to
fart, or
Yeah.
or their stomach gurgles.
Ooh,
Right,
that'd
right.
be real scary.
Yeah. So it's a little disconcerting the first time you hear noises coming from a dead body.
How
But,
do you
but
mentally
it's
get
natural.
past that? Wait a minute, though. Wait, let's stop for a second. Okay. Because again, I don't know if it's a black thing. I don't know what it is, but anytime a body makes a sound, regardless of what, there could be a million reasons for it. And again, it's understandable. You're sticking the long pipe down, and then you're filling it with this embalming fluid and all that. But to hear it actually happen, your mind goes wild. It goes into particular places. But to get used to it, that's the odd part. But I guess with any job or anything you do, you're going to know the ins and outs of what to expect. So I totally understand that. But you've never had a situation where a hand moved, or you thought it moved, or a certain positioning,
Or even a twitch.
Yeah, exactly. It's never happened.
No. So by the time they get to a funeral home, they've been dead for hours.
Yeah.
Right. So, a twitch kind of thing happens right in the last seconds, right after death. Right. And it's just nerves. And again, it's biologic. It's not, yeah.
imagine it, when you smashed the one's toes and it moaned when you were putting the body in, and it just what, you missed that part of the story already?
No. But that's actually my biggest fear, is actually leaving my body behind for someone to have to deal with. That is actually one of my biggest fears in death. It's not because death to me is just falling asleep and never waking up. Hopefully it's that easy. And since, not anything crazy. But if it is that way, it's just I have a fear of leaving my body behind and having someone else, manipulate me that I've never met before, that I can't say thank you to, that I can't, say, don't drop me, or, just all those things. But so that's one of my phobias, I would say.
Oh, interesting.
Yes.
Have you ever been under anesthesia?
Yes, I have.
It's pretty much the same thing. Yeah.
Yes. Wait, you mean in the
Trusting
sense,
people.
Oh yeah. Well, yeah, but you're hoping
That's
the nurses
true.
and the doctors are, don't leave anything inside of you, or they're doing whatever, is proper. And then some people, say those out of body experiences, they actually hear the conversation, and they come back and tell the docs and then what they said. And then the one guy who actually recorded the conversation, while he put a recorder in his pocket or somewhere, while he was getting something done, and they weren't saying too nice of things about him as he was laying there. But yeah, no, it's just a phobia. I don't know why that is, but I guess people see you in your most vulnerable state in all forms of fashion. So I think that probably has a lot to do with it.
So
I will say
go ahead.
there was great respect in the funeral business where I worked. There was great respect for the remains of a person, right? That this was a body. It didn't mean anything to them anymore, but it meant something to their family.
Yeah.
Right. And so yes, there was great care taken to treat them with respect and to present them in a way that comforted the family. So we went to great lengths to try and make them look good, right? Or as good as you could with somebody. And, you often had, particularly with really senior folks who had passed, we would have family members say they haven't looked that good in years when we had the open casket.
Yeah,
with them.
that's awesome though.
We did good. Yeah.
Yeah.
Compliment.
That is.
So being the nerd I am, there is I don't know if you play video games at all, but there is a game called Mortuary Assistant where you play as where you work as a mortuary assistant, and the whole game is like you're working in a haunted setting, and they're actually going to make a movie about it. Would that be a movie you'd be interested in seeing?
Yeah, I'd be interested in the game because I ended up in the video game industry.
Yeah,
that's part of the story. I ended up at EA making video games. So no, I have not seen Mortuary Assistant.
I'll have seen that or heard about it.
Oh yeah, it's a pretty creepy game. Like it's you're going through the so I would like to that would definitely be one I would like to get input for someone who actually worked in the mortuary and who played the game.
I would never.
Okay. I'll have to look for that.
Yeah, that's ooh, that's interesting. Anyways, wow. But yeah, it all the things that you've done are very interesting because, like you said, you go from I think the circus to was it EA on the next stop? No,
Disney.
Yes, Disney.
Disney.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
11 years at Disney.
That is very, very intriguing. And
the one in Florida, right?
Yeah, Walt Disney World.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
They hired me. Believe it or not, my first gig. I went to the audition hoping to get hired as a juggler, and there was this big open call audition. They had hundreds of dancers all wanting to get hired at Disney to do something, and they put out this call saying, "Can anybody do back handsprings?" And I raised my hand. Said, "Yeah, I can do back handsprings." I was a gymnast. And so I did some back handsprings for them, and they hired me as a chimney sweep for the Easter parade at Walt Disney World. Yes. And it was for national, broadcast. So my very first gig at Disney, I made it on national television. My parents got to see me as a chimney sweep. And I never did any back handsprings as a chimney sweep. They hired me because I could
just
do
in case.
Yeah, just in case. Yeah. Yeah.
That's very interesting. So and so how did you end up at EA?
Call it fate. I don't know. I had been after I was in Disney 11 years, and I was in education publishing for a while. It's where I got into teaching, really kind of cementing my IT, skills and background too, and career. Then I had a brief job in between that was kind of a nightmare, bad situation. But the lady who had recruited me actually for that job had worked with me at Harcourt, the publisher. And then she calls me the day I got laid off. I got noticed that I was being laid off from the other one, and had this job at EA, and she had just thought of me. Wow. And I was like, well, it's, again, goosebumps time. You calling me today to check in when I just got noticed that I'm being laid off. And so I went, I interviewed. It turned out I actually started that job immediately upon my other job ending. So I didn't have any, gap in my employment, which was wonderful. And EA was just like, walking into I'm home, right? Yeah. This is where I'm supposed to be. It was high tech, but incredibly creative environment. Yeah. these were people who were totally into the gaming thing, but also totally into sports. There was an EA sports studio there in Orlando called Tiburon. It's the name of the studio. But yeah, and I was also, I mean, it was older by that point, right? I was a senior level guy coming in to run their IT organization.
Okay.
And but I was working with all of these young guys in their 20s and 30s, and so it was really like bringing new life. It was just so fun to be surrounded by this high energy group of crazy smart people too. I mean, brilliant engineers, unbelievable artists. And so I looked at that. I would have been my last job, right? Except that 6 years later, we got the opportunity to move to Hong Kong.
Oh, nice.
And so we moved to Hong Kong, and it disrupted my employment at EA, or I'd probably still be there working there today. Yeah.
Wow. So let's get into your thoughts about ghosts, aliens, and that whole thing. Because again, having this background, having all these different experiences, going from having faith, not having faith, to, higher power, not a higher power. Do you believe, and have you had any experiences from the ghost standpoint?
So as a child, I did have an experience, again, whether it was real or imagined or dreamed or whatever, I don't know, but it sure felt real to me. So my grandfather had passed when I was, I guess, 8, 9 years old. And we'd also lost a family dog just prior to that. And I still remember it kind of vividly. Our house was 2-story, and the upstairs, you came out of the bedroom, you had to go down the hall, and then there was, kind of turned the corner, and there was a staircase. Went down just a couple of steps, and then it turned and went down. But that little platform at the top of the stairs, I came out of the bedroom, turned in the hallway. When I got to that platform, I believed I saw my grandfather and the dog.
Oh, wow.
Like as ghosts.
Yeah.
And it just started kind of screaming, crying, I guess, hysterics. But afterwards, it occurred to me that they weren't frightening.
Mm-hmm.
They weren't like appearing to be threatening to me. It was just disconcerting,
yes,
right? To see them and realize, wait, they're gone, but they're here. Shouldn't be. These are ghosts. And so I still remember my mother trying to console me and tell me, it wasn't real. I'd had a dream, but I was never quite so sure that I'd had a dream. Or maybe they really did stop by to say hi.
I think they did.
Did you get a chance to really look, or was it kind of like out of the corner of your eye, you see them and got scared and ran, or were they really right in front of you, and they looked physically whole? I mean, what was it like?
So full body. Yeah. I looked right at them, the two of them standing there. That's how I recall it anyway. Was yes, they were. Yep. And I want to say though, they were, they didn't look completely physical, right? So you call it ghost-like, right?
Yeah.
They were semi-transparent or something, right?
Like
they
translucent.
or translucent, right? Yes, exactly. Yeah.
Interesting.
That's interesting.
But the fact that you were still able to make out the details of them, would you be able to like the clothes and you're able to see like all that, like their clothing, like
it was a split second before I guess I just lost it, right?
Yeah.
They were.
Yeah,
I was a kid. I just started screaming. Yeah.
Yeah. So, and you also talk about, vivid dreams, that you've actually had a vivid dream that you had a conversation with Jesus back in biblical times.
That's right.
Yeah. So, do you think that was an actual, not past life, or you were in that particular setting at that time, transported, opposed to, it was just a dream of something that I was, whatever. I ate a burger last night and it.
No, I absolutely believe that in the spiritual realm, again, we talk about kind of channeling or dialing in. Sometimes when we're asleep, it can happen too, right? I think that we get messages through a dream language, if you will.
Yeah.
They kind of appear differently. But so, yes, I had the dream about encountering Jesus as a child, actually. And in the dream, it was a very elaborate dream. And apparently I had come across some paperwork, some papers that it turns out actually belonged to him and were important to him. And in the dream, I kind of knew these were important papers for somebody, and I went looking to try and give them, find the owner, and then somebody directed me to him. But the second he touched my hand in the dream, there was this.
Oh wow.
This is Jesus as a child,
Yeah.
right? And I'm doing something for him that's important to him, right? And so anyway, yeah, there was this just kind of rush of that, and I woke up going, "Oh, that was a weird dream," so real, so vivid, but that sensation, and the look on his face when he touched my hand, like, you're gonna know, right, who I am, and it's okay. I'm thanking you for doing this. I'm kind of revealing myself to you.
Yeah.
Because you brought me my papers that I needed.
What age were you?
Oh, I was an adult when I had that dream.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But I had a dream once about a prison, and again, it was a message. It was a very vivid dream, but there was a young man in the dream who was kind of devastated and sad. And I came away all of a sudden with this, like, oh, these are real people who are imprisoned, and some of them are not like hardened criminals, but they're now in this environment that's so traumatizing to them. And just like this feeling, again, I didn't know what to do with it. I wasn't sure, how am I supposed to react to this? But there was this feeling that I was shown this for a reason, right? That I needed to have compassion for these people who were in a situation that maybe they made a mistake and they're there and they're guilty, but they're still, they're in a terrible situation.
Oh, for sure. Definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's incredible to even have that. And, because most people are talking about not necessarily great or good experiences, but they're not looking at a lot of things from a compassionate standpoint, to where you're, in someone's hell and you're actually visiting them in that dream, and you're able to either have a moment with them or talk to them or sit back and feel the experience, to take it back in your own life to make the situation better for everyone that you encounter. And when you're encountered, even from an employer standpoint, as far as looking down on someone when you go to hire them, or just meeting them in the street, or just various different things that if you didn't have that experience, you may have been flippant about that conversation or that meeting, like, no, you don't, you look like a nefarious person I don't want to have any dealings with. But it just makes you, have that compassion for people. So that's amazing. Because I wonder, does that really happen a lot to people, and they just, don't either discuss it, or they just think it was, that was just an odd thing.
So I had like one like that where I had a very vivid dream, and it was one after my grandfather passed away, and it was a dream I'll take with me to the day I die, because it was just so, it was something I hold close to my heart. It was after he passed away, I would say within the first week, and in the dream, it was me and my cousins. We're all hanging out in the room and then they have their kids. We're all just kind of hanging out, chilling, relaxing. And then I see my grandpa walk kind of into the doorway, and he's just watching us. He's not saying anything. He's just staring at us, watching us. And I could tell he's like, tearing up. And then I make eye contact with him, and then he like waves by, and he goes down the hallway. Sorry. But he goes down the hallway, and I remember rushing down to stop him. And I like hug him, and I was like, you can't go yet. And then he kind of like taps my hand, like, it's gonna be okay.
Wow, it's powerful.
Yeah, it's one that's like I'm trying to hold it because it's one that I hold special to my heart.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
That is, the experiences that we have in these dreams that sometimes they're not really dreams. They're, either moments in time that you're actually there visiting these people and you're just in a dream state. And, it's incredible, moments that takes
Well, do you want to
place.
talk about the big one for me, right? And Carolyn, you just did your thing on previous life memories, right? So, so yes, I had one, right? I had a repeating dream as a child, as a Viking. And
yes.
Yeah, I've been waiting for this one.
Stop.
Yeah. So in this dream, right, this reoccurring thing that absolutely vivid, literally like storming a beach. So with a bunch of big burly guys, apparently, somehow I had this sense that I was a big man, and I'm in the water about waist deep, and we're trying to get to the beach. I can see other people around me charging the beach, and there's somebody firing arrows at us from, I guess it's like a castle or a wall above the beach. And I see an arrow in the air coming at me, but I'm waist deep in the water and I can't move fast enough, and it hits me. I just feel this thing just go thunk right in the chest.
Oh.
And the next thing I know, there's two guys like dragging me by the arms onto the beach. And now I'm lying on my back. I can feel the sand. I can see the sky, kind of blue sky with some spotty clouds. And I can see the arrow sticking out of my chest.
Wow.
And the two guys, I can tell, are kind of frantic. They don't know what to do. But I was very calm. I'm just kind of lying there. And I'm like, it's okay. Don't worry. All is well. And then fade to black. So... but I had this exact
And that
same
didn't scare
dream.
you as a child? Oh, sorry.
Oh yeah, I was like 5 years old. I was pretty freaked out. I was like, what is this this dream that keeps, every night just over and over and over again? And then I saw the guy, and I was looking up on my shelf here to find my copy of it. Oh, here it is. Sorry. This book.
Oh, okay. Return to
Right?
Life.
Oh, John B. Tucker is amazing.
Yes, John B. Tucker.
Yes.
So I saw something he was doing, online, and I wrote to him and just said, hey, I had this, experience myself. Do you think this, is real? Is this the kind of stuff that you're seeing? And he wrote back to me and asked for permission to include it in his book. And so anyway, and then
That's awesome.
this is a signed copy of the book.
Nice.
Yeah, he wrote in the front of it here. If I can get it on camera there, I don't know. It's not going to work.
That is amazing.
Anyway, yeah.
Yeah, we
it says,
can't see
to
it.
Eric, with best wishes for your lifetimes.
Wow.
Nice.
Yeah.
Wow.
Big beat
That
up.
is amazing. And I'm such a big fan of his. Oh, I'm freaking out right now, but it's so interesting because I was actually told I always had a really strong connection with Viking and Norse mythology and Viking history. And it never occurred to me that I might have had a past life connection to that. But I was actually told by a psychic that I had 2 lives in that area around that time. And lately, you're like the 3rd or 4th person I've met who says the same thing, that they have a strong tie or a past life connection to Viking, to the Vikings. So that's so interesting. That's very cool.
We are kinsmen.
Yeah, we might have been side by side on that beach, man.
Or she was the one that
That is
shot
such
the
a cool
arrow.
story.
Right, or you shot me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe. So you do, I take it then that you believe in that stuff and you've thought about it and.
Well, so here's another, thing we haven't really talked about, right? And so moving to Asia, you get a whole nother perspective now, right? So these folks very much believe in reincarnation here. And so, so all of a sudden, growing up, this was kind of blasphemy. Oh, no. Christian indoctrination. We don't talk about reincarnation, doesn't happen, doesn't exist. And so, you kind of push these things aside. And as it goes, and, Jim Tucker talks about, right, you tend to forget after a while.
Yeah.
These dreams go away and you can't remember things that you did remember when your brain was young and still flexible enough to tune into those channels. So, but yeah, in Asia, they're all about ghosts and stuff. This is very, very common theme. Almost all the TV shows and stuff. It's very cultural for them. They're not afraid of ghosts. In fact, they have holidays here for the Ghost Festival thing,
wow.
Happy Ghost Festival, whatever. Yeah.
I did not know that.
Yeah. So they embrace this whole idea of your ancestors are accessible to you in some realm, and that yes, you honor them by remembering them, and you do tomb sweeping, where you go and you that's another holiday here, tomb sweeping. You go to their graves and you burn incense and papers and stuff, and yes, clean their tomb.
Wow.
So anyway, yeah, but I think that it kind of brought back for me that maybe we don't know all of the answers to this stuff.
Yeah.
And I've kind of come to the conclusion, I think I talked with you guys a little bit about this before, that I think that our lives, we may live multiple lifetimes. I call it mature souls versus young souls.
Yeah.
Right. And so I think some of us are early in our path of maturing. And so we may have to live several lifetimes to gather the experiences that help us really understand who we are and what our place is in the universe. Others, so I call like Oprah Winfrey is a mature soul, right? She just seems to have this wisdom about her and this ability to kind of see things.
I don't know if I agree with that.
Okay, well, all right, not everybody.
But
maybe.
I understand what you're getting
definitely
at.
agree with that, only because of the when just how a person carries themselves, their gift to make you comfortable, to be able to have a discussion and be empathetic to what is coming across. I mean, I've always felt that when watching her personally, at least me.
Yeah. So all right. So maybe she's not the best example, but you know it, right? You meet people who you just go, they seem to get it. They know what's going on.
Yeah.
They're calm and they're they don't need to talk about stuff necessarily. They listen and they they process things and they just seem wise.
Yeah.
And so and then there's other people who are just stumbling around like idiots. And you go, what are you doing?
Yeah.
Right? You're damaging yourself. You're hurting other people. And so to me, it's kind of like, maybe they're just not in the right place yet, and they're going to get a redo.
Yeah.
Right? They're going to come back and they're going to live again, and they're going to, try and solve some of these problems, and eventually they're going to get it. And maybe they got to come back 20 times before they figure it out. And some of the time they're going to remember little bits of a previous one. Right. And so, right. They accumulate over time, and we become more mature. I'm not there yet. I'm pretty sure I got work to do.
Well, even if you're done incarnating on this earth, there might be levels even after that, so we're all never really done. But if you believe in that stuff, and once you kind of realize that we're all at different points in our journey, it gives you patience and tolerance, and it also gives you some humility too, because you realize I'm not the most advanced, and I'm not the most brand new, and I just it gives you some perspective, I guess, and some peace, I think.
Yeah, there are 8-year-olds I've met to where I get that sense that they're a wise soul, just from the conversation, how they respond, and So again, I don't think it's all about your actual physical earth age, per se. And because it's funny, I used to always have this, it wasn't a recurring dream. It was just like something that I call it an experience that I would build these rooftops in England. And it was like, probably the 1600s around that time. And I just knew how to build these roofs. They were called thatch roofs, and the tools that were used. And I was always wondering, like, why am I having this dream? Like, why is this, and I would get more bits and pieces. Then I would go and look at the particular items that were used to build a roof. I was like, yeah, I know that. I know this tool. I know how to do it. I can, actually, build it and tell you how the structure is made and everything. And to me, that is a experience of a past life. Like I did that before in a past life. And then I go to do my DNA, and I'm like 13% British. And it's funny also, I think 10% Nordic. So that's interesting also. So, but yeah. So I did find that to be interesting in doing my DNA. But yeah, you just never know. And I do believe in past lives and things that, we've experienced. And the minute you try to think about it, especially like deja vu, what is that? Is that little small perceptions of other realities or other times? The minute you try to drill down and think about it, it goes away that fast.
Yeah.
I do find that interesting.
So, Eric, would you want to go see it like a psychic and go under like a hypnosis to see if they can pick up more of your past life? Would that be something
I'd be open to that? Yeah.
You mean like a regression?
Yeah, I couldn't recall the word.
Yeah, that would be interesting. I would be, terrified to kind of do it because it's like, what are you going to pull out? But throughout all these experiences, have you had, this will be the last, we're winding down, a UFO experience in all these tales that you've experienced?
So I have been looking for a UFO all my life. I'm always staring at the sky. I've always believed. I actually had some terrifying dreams of UFOs and aliens coming to get me, kind of thing, particularly when I was younger. But I did have an incident recently on a trip in Europe on a bus and saw this thing in the sky and couldn't explain what it was, spherical, metallic thing, and it was just hovering up in the sky and long enough that I was able to kind of elbow my wife and say, hey, you see that thing? And she could see it immediately, cloudless sky. And of course her immediate statement was, I must be a drone. And I was like, okay, maybe it's a drone, but I thought, well, let me just, I'd been watching it for probably a minute or two. It didn't seem to be moving, which means it's probably moving about the same speed I was moving.
Yeah.
But I reached for my phone, so literally looked down for 2-3 seconds, looked up again, and it was gone.
Oh, wow.
And I was just like, wait a minute, where the heck did it go? It was high above the horizon. It was not a cloud in the sky. There's no place for this thing to hide, and it was just gone. And so, seeing it wasn't as curious as why did it just vanish? How does something move that fast? And it was so obvious in the sky that even my wife spotted it within a second when I said, what's that thing? So, so that one, I actually reported that to one of the
MUFON
organizations. I don't remember which one. And that they didn't come back with like anybody else had reported anything or any information to kind of explain it necessarily, but probably was a drone. I don't know, but so I'm always looking. I want to see one.
Well, it would have to be a big drone. I fly drones, and that far out, and from the size of it, what would you describe the size from the distance that you saw it?
Well, it's hard to tell, right? Because when you're looking out across the sky, you don't know whether it's a mile away or it's much closer, and you just can't tell, right? At that perspective, I didn't have a shadow or anything like that to try and figure out how far away it was. It looked like it was pretty far out, at least a mile or two, or I don't know, out there. Again, it's hard to know, other than the fact that it seemed to be stationary, or at least tracking parallel to our movement. I was in a bus at the time traveling across Europe.
Yeah.
So anyway, yeah, no, it was there's lots of unexplained stuff.
Yeah. Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
Well, because Bobby had seen something too on one that, like, you said you saw something, right, Bobby, when you were driving?
Oh yeah, I saw an orb shaped round orb. It seemed some type of metal, but it had like a black to I don't know, dark brown reflection to it, and it was just like I said, it was spherical, and it was just hovering like right above a cloud, but it was moving, and I was moving also. I was probably moving at 65 miles an hour, but it darted into a cloud. Then when it came out of the cloud, it took some of the cloud with it as it left. So it had like a teardrop wake that I just kept going, but it wasn't going fast. It was just like it was going from cloud to cloud, and it was just taking its time. It wasn't moving fast. At this point, it's moving away from me as I'm going, and it went into another cloud, and I lost sight of it because I was driving at the time. And but it was going on as a matter of fact. Like it was like nobody's looking at me, nobody's paying attention. It was an orb object, and it was metal. It was at least, I don't know, it was miles up there. It was far up there, but it still looked the size of a VW bug, but it was round. That's the craziest thing. Well, I saw something else that was pretty wild, but that was one of the craziest things I've ever seen. Another time I was walking down the street, and it was at nighttime. Saw something shoot out of the sky, kind of land like in the back of a store, but it had like a little flare to it, like something from a movie, to where it's just like a spark, and it was bright for a second, went dim, and I went home. So I don't know what happened after that. I was like, I'm not getting involved. I don't know what that was, and so I don't know what happened there. But yeah, so those are the two major sighting experiences that I had that I did not know what it is.
I had a lady on a cruise ship tell me, I was just having breakfast one morning, and the lady sitting next to me said, I saw a UFO yesterday, off the side of the ship. And her husband's going, oh God, she's going to tell this story. And I was fascinated. I was like, oh, I'm in. Yeah, tell me. And she said it was a saucer-like flat thing. Yeah. And she watched it for a while, hovering over the ocean somewhere there, and then it disappeared. Yeah. But she admitted, she said, I'm not one who has ever like followed this stuff or looking for, expecting to see UFOs. Yeah. She said, I never thought I would see one. She said, but I can't explain what I saw. Yeah. She said, but it was there. And, she's elbowing crazy. Her husband. He doesn't believe me, but I saw it. And I was jealous. I was like, I wish I'd seen it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, no rhyme or reason to any of it. And it's just all about right place, right time, look up. And that's how I saw that, which was interesting. But I didn't do the MUFON thing on the orb. And there was a lot of people talking about this orb that they saw, that I saw too. So I thought that was interesting at the time. And this was years. This is probably 20 years ago or somewhere, 18 years ago, somewhere around there. But yeah. All right, Carolyn, any last questions, or Mike?
So let me see.
Yes. Of all the crazy jobs you've had, which one was your favorite? I guess EA Sports, it sounds like.
EA's not crazy, though. That's a good thing. That was a nice.
That's true. That's
my dream. I've worked for EA as a tester. So, but anyways.
Well, EA was definitely super, super fun, but it was also stressful, and there was a lot of pressure. We were making these sports games, and you had deadlines, and so there was good and bad there. Interestingly, I would say probably one of the most fun things I did was being a character at Disney. So when I first started there, in order to stay employed, right, have a regular paycheck and benefits and stuff, I agreed to be a character. And so I wore a Chippendale, chipmunk suit. And you would think,
not
you
the
know,
stripper, Carolyn.
no, not
Chippendale.
no, not those.
Wait. Who?
Easy, Carolyn. Easy. No, but you know, you're out there in the 90-degree heat in Florida on a 30 pounds of fur, but 1 million hugs a day.
That's
right.
awesome.
This was just a love fest. You go out there in one of those suits and these kids are just coming up and, oh, I love you, Chip. And they're, you know, kissing his little fiberglass cheeks and, you know, and so, but people of all shapes and sizes and ages would come up and just, you know, want to get a picture with you and hug you. And so, yeah, I spent about 6 months doing costume work, and it was just, yeah, the most loved I've, you know, maybe ever felt. And, well, and kind of the funny, you know, kind of side to that was when I moved into IT, right? So in entertainment, everybody hugged everybody, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you were out there doing this work, right?
Yeah.
You're getting hugged 1,000 times a day. So even when you weren't in costume, you hugged everybody, right? This was just it. Well, I learned very quickly that in IT, you're not supposed to hug people.
Oh.
So,
Just hug everyone when you greet them.
Right. So I described it as like hug deprivation when I moved into IT, because I wasn't allowed to hug people anymore. Because when the IT guy hugs you, it's just kind of weird, and they call HR.
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
So Chippendale was your favorite job.
At the Disney park.
Got it.
I think of,
The Disney
in terms of just a fun, 6 months of my life, right, playing around in a chipmunk suit was a blast.
That's awesome. So I would say, for my final question, I would say, like, what's a life lesson you think everyone should learn early? Just based off everything, your experiences and everything you've done. I
think, you know, be true to yourself, right? Realize who you are. Take the time to figure out what, you know, what inspires you, what motivates you, what moves you, and follow it, right? Go with your heart. Be you. Don't let somebody else tell you who you are, or what you should be, or what you have to be, or what you have to do. Find yourself. Yeah.
Yes,
Nice.
definitely. So tell us where we can find your book, Eric, and, you know, your socials and your podcast also.
Yeah. So, well, the book is exclusive to Amazon, so you can find it there, right? The From the Funeral Home to the Circus and Beyond by Eric Byron. And I have a podcast. It is called the Education Innovators Podcast, and that is on all the platforms, the audio platforms, and it's also on my YouTube channel. So the YouTube channel is under my name, and the podcast is like a playlist, right? But you can see all of my videos there. So yeah, look for me on YouTube and subscribe. I would love to, you know, have you guys watching my shows there. I'm going to publish a new episode today.
Nice.
It is Monday in Hong Kong, by the way, already, and I'm going to publish a special episode that features an organization I volunteer with called Crossroads Foundation. So I think that's important, that we give back and we give of our time and our talents. And so I volunteer just one day a week for them. But there's this event, I don't know if you've heard of it. So Podcastathon is this organization that they get podcasters like us to during one particular week, which is right now, across the globe, to do a special episode that features a charity of their choice.
That's awesome.
And so today I am publishing an episode that features Crossroads Foundation. I'm excited to put that out there. It's not the usual kind of content I publish, but I'm really happy to highlight what they do and the good work they do all across the globe, bringing things of need to refugees and people in crisis.
That's so special.
Yeah.
That's awesome. And all of Eric's info will be in our show description, so you can follow the links to Amazon and also to his YouTube channel and any socials he has as far as IG or, you know, infamous TikTok and all the above. But
I'm actually not on TikTok.
Okay, you are not on TikTok. Okay.
You can't even get to it from Hong Kong.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
interesting.
So
I thought they had the clean version, nice version of TikTok or someone like that. Some country did. Like we get all the, disgusting stuff of TikTok, and then these other countries are getting like
and they
learning
get like
and
the smart stuff.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So anyway, but I am on the other ones, IG and Facebook and Blue Sky and LinkedIn, and
Nice.
yeah, find me. Yeah.
Awesome.
Happy
Awesome.
to connect.
Well, thank you so much, sir. And it's been an amazing book and podcast for tonight, even though it had its crazy moments. But it's par for the course here, without any haunted ghost or anything in the wires and, making things not function. But so far, so good. No lights flickering or any of that good stuff in the studio. But yeah, it's been a great night. Thank you, Eric, for joining us on this episode.
Well, thank you for having me. This has been a blast.
It was great having you.
Awesome. All right.
Yeah, thank you so much.
We are out.
As your journey through the shadow realms of Strange Darkness Radio concludes, remember that you unlock the door to the paranormal with the key of imagination. Beyond it lies another dimension, a dimension of eerie soundscapes, chilling sights, and the profound depths of the mind. You're venturing into a land of both haunting shadows and tangible substance, where the ethereal meets the corporeal, and ideas take on a spectral form. You've just crossed over into the Strange Darkness Radio Zone. In the vast expanse of the paranormal, there exists a fifth dimension, extending beyond the known realms of our understanding. It is a dimension vast as the cosmos and eternal as infinity, a mysterious terrain between the illumination of light and the depths of shadow. This is the middle ground between the empirical and the supernatural, where fears fester in the pit of humanity's soul and knowledge ascends to its zenith. Welcome to the dimension of imagination, an area we dub the Strange Darkness Radio Zone. As you conclude your journey with us, remember that you're departing this peculiar zone, a place where reality intertwines with the surreal. Be cautious as you step out, for you may find that the boundaries between the normal and the paranormal blur, leaving you forever in the lingering embrace of the unknown. Until next time, farewell from the depths of the Strange Darkness Radio Zone.